It is week 11 in the 2023 NFL season, and today I'm going to be answering your questions on the latest news and rumors surrounding the National Football League. But before we get into the questions today, make sure you click that subscribe button right now, because right here on the Chat Sports YouTube channel, we got daily NFL videos for free. If you want the best analysis here on YouTube, 100% free of charge, make sure you click that subscribe button. Also, we got weekly live shows. This mailbag is actually filmed during our weekly live show on Thursday. So if you enjoy live content, want to get involved with these mailbags, get your questions on the show, make sure you click that subscribe button. We also do NFL power rankings and mock drafts every single week here on the channel. So if you love the NFL, you want more content for free here on YouTube, make sure you click that subscribe button right now. So now let's start with a question from Lore, who says, what should the Rams do if they don't make it to the playoffs? So right now, they're sitting at just 3 wins, right? I think they're at 3-6 right now. And I look at the Rams, and they still got some nice pieces, right? They still got Matthew Stafford. They just brought in Puka Nacua to pair with Cooper Kupp. That's a really good duo. And, you got Aaron Donald there in the middle. And some of the players that they drafted, the young players that they drafted this year, are actually turning into pretty decent players. Now, I think that they view themselves as still 1 year away. I still think that next year they're going to hang on to Matthew Stafford. They're going to hang on to Aaron Donald. They're going to hang on to Cooper Kupp. And they're going to try to build a little bit more around these young pieces that they brought in last year in the draft. They're going to stock up on draft picks. They're going to spend a little money in free agency, and they're going to try to make another run here with Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp and company heading into next year. And you know what? I actually think that that's feasible for them. I think give them another year with this collection of young talent that they have, along with their veterans that have already won a Super Bowl. I think the Rams could potentially be a playoff threat for the 2024 season. Then we got one from Cameron Briglin. Says, do you think Joe Brady calling the plays for the Bills could turn the season around after firing Ken Dorsey? Personally, Cameron, I just don't know how firing Ken Dorsey fixes any of their problems, right? Ken Dorsey isn't making bad decisions for Josh Allen to throw interceptions. He's not forcing them to fumble the football at the rate that they're fumbling the football, right? He's not the one responsible for putting 12 players on a freaking field goal block unit when the opposing team misses the game-winning field goal, giving them another chance, right? So all these different things that are happening to the Bills, it's not necessarily on the offense. The offense is ranking in the top 10 in pretty much every important offensive category right now other than turnovers. So right now, I just don't know how Joe Brady coming in now just fixes everything. Now, is it possible that the Bills turn things around? Absolutely. But is it going to be because you fired Ken Dorsey? I really don't see that. Then we got one from KP to DTR, or KP is better than DTR. I love that. It says, who is an underrated team that you think turns it on in the second half of the year? So Buffalo is definitely a team that could do it, sitting at 5-5. They've given up 3 games to the Jets, the freaking Patriots, and then last week to Denver. They easily should have won all 3 of those football games. They could easily be sitting at 8-2. The offense is really going well. The defense is still good. So Buffalo could definitely be a team, but also watch out for the Los Angeles Chargers. They're sitting at 4-5, but the offense is top 10 in most key offensive categories. The defense is third in third down defense. They're susceptible to the big play, but Justin Herbert is a special talent. That offense is starting to get things going, and I really do think in the second half of the season, the Chargers could be a surprise team that sneaks into the playoffs. Now let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. Which NFL team is being slept on and will surge down the stretch? Let me know down there in the comments section who you think is going to be the surprise team of the second half of the NFL season. Let me on from Juan Hernandez here. Says, can the Raiders still make the playoffs? Absolutely, they could. Will they? I'm not putting my money on it, all right? Plain and simply, you look at their rankings and all these different offensive categories, third down offense, third down defense, red zone, all these different things that you look at that good teams do. The Raiders don't do those things. Now, they're sitting at 5-5, so they're firmly in the AFC playoff race right now. They're 2-0 under interim head coach Antonio Pierce. So who knows what's going to happen, right? And they've got some good players. Devontae Adams, Max Crosby are among the best at their respective positions. But listen, they got a rookie quarterback, Aiden O'Connell. It's an interim head coach. Defense is not particularly great outside of Robert Spillane and Max Crosby. So if you're asking me if I think the Raiders are going to make the playoffs in a loaded AFC, unfortunately, I have to say no. Then we got one from Michael Contanzaro. Hope I'm saying that right, my friend. Says, you think McDaniels would come back as Patriots offensive coordinator? I think he would if they keep Belichick. And, I've already proposed that I think the Patriots should hold on to Belichick, right? I think what they should do is they should approach Belichick and say, hey, man, you're not doing a great job as the GM. It seems like it's a little bit too much on your plate, but we still believe in you as a head coach. Here's what I would propose. You take away his GM title, just make him the head coach. Bring back Josh McDaniels as the offensive coordinator, then hire a dedicated GM to handle the front office stuff. I think if you do that, this roster can continue to accumulate more talent, and Belichick has more time doing what he's actually good at, which is game planning, preparing for opponents, all these different things. He's a genius at that kind of stuff. So I think that if I were Robert Kraft, I would just take away the GM responsibilities from Bill Belichick. But it really does seem like Bill is going to get fired, and they're going to part ways, and he might even end up in Los Angeles. Wherever Bill Belichick goes, though, I think Josh McDaniels is going to be his offensive coordinator. Now, coming up here, we got more NFL questions that I'm going to be answering from you, the fans of Chat Sports. But before we get into that, I want to tell you about today's sponsor at Prize Picks. And let me tell you, man, ever since we started partnering with Prize Picks, I have not been able to put this app down. It's absolutely fantastic. And if you're looking for a way to spice up your game days this NFL season, get started with Prize Picks. It's a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game. And you might be asking yourselves, Jack, how does this work? Well, here's how you play daily fantasy sports. You pick 2 to 6 players, and if they'll go for more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can even win up to 25 times your money on any entry. So let's take a look at my picks for this weekend's football game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. I'm doing my picks all on the Pittsburgh Steelers. Right now, Kenny Pickett's at 193.5 pass yards. I think he'll get more than that. Najee Harris at 48.5 rush yards. I think he's going to get less than that. I think Jaylen Warren has been a really special player for Pittsburgh this year. I think Najee is going to take a step back. And then George Pickens, 41.5 receiving yards. I'm going to take the more on that. I think he's a special player, and he's going to have a nice week. You can check it out now and get your picks in today at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100 today. With Prize Picks, it takes less than 60 seconds to make your picks. So get started right away and get your picks in before football starts this weekend. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use our code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code CLNS at prizepicks.com/CLNS for a deposit match up to $100 today. Got one from Ryan here. Says, should the Steelers start Jaylen Warren over Najee? And how will they handle the running back situation this offseason? So this is a really good question, Ryan. For those of you that don't know, I am our Steelers host here at Chat Sports. And listen, Jaylen Warren has been really, really good for the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. He's been a lot more dynamic than Najee Harris has been so far this year. And I think moving forward, they're going to continue to feed both running backs. I think that it's going to be more of a true committee. I don't think there's going to be a true number one running back here. I think this is definitely a thunder and lightning type of combination where you got the thunder with Najee Harris, the bigger running back that's more for like the goal line situations, third and short, but can also come in if Jaylen Warren needs a break. But Warren has just been such a dynamic playmaker. I compare him a little bit to Austin Eckler because he does a lot of things really well at a small size, right? He's got great vision, great short area burst. He's a good receiver, great pass blocker on third downs as well. So I think that there's a role for both of these guys in the Steelers offense. Right now, the Steelers offense has been getting it going a little bit in the run game the last 2 weeks. Kenny Pickett, maybe a little bit of a different situation. But this offseason, I think they're going to decline Najee Harris's fifth-year option. I think that because Jaylen Warren is really coming on the scene, they're not going to want to pay both of those guys at the same time. And they're going to say, Najee, we'll have you for one more year, but Jaylen Warren is our guy moving forward. Then we go on from Bang 49ers. Says, who do you think wins the NFC South this year? So I really do think it's going to be a battle between the New Orleans Saints and the Atlanta Falcons. Right now, I think Tampa Bay, a little bit on a lower tier. Carolina's kind of in that same lower tier, in my opinion. But New Orleans, a little bit more balanced than Atlanta is, but I think Atlanta might be the more well-rounded team if you look at it in the aggregate. Atlanta can really run the football. If you look at the major offensive and defensive categories, team stats, they don't really rank bottom 10 in any category, which is a really good thing to have if you're an NFL football team. So I'm going to say the Atlanta Falcons right now. but it could definitely be either New Orleans or Atlanta moving forward. All right, now let me know what you guys think. Who wins the NFC South here in 2023? Is it New Orleans, type NO? Is it Atlanta, type ATL? Do Tampa Bay or Carolina come back? Type TB for Tampa or CAR for Carolina. Then we got one from Bulls Nation here. He says, Chargers should fire Brandon Staley and get Kellen Moore elevated as the permanent head coach. That's an interesting idea there, Bulls Nation. I think if they fire Brandon Staley, it's going to be because they missed the playoffs, all right? So if they make the postseason, he's not getting fired. But if they miss the playoffs, I think they'll fire Brandon Staley. And if you believe the reports coming out of the Bill Belichick camp right now, Belichick wants to come to L.A. Now, is the Chargers organization going to say no to Bill Belichick, a six-time world champion head coach, in favor of Kellen Moore? I really don't see that happening. I like the idea. Kellen Moore's an interesting head coaching candidate, still a little bit young. He's interviewed with a lot of teams, hasn't gotten a job yet. That scares me a little bit. But I look at this situation, and Kellen Moore in the offense is definitely the best part of this Chargers team right now. Seems like Justin Herbert likes playing in his offense, so I actually don't hate this idea one bit. Then we got one from Dirty Birds, and he says, predict the Super Bowl matchup and who will win the whole thing. So if I'd have to pick it right now, I've been saying Eagles over the last several weeks, but after I really took a deep dive into the team stats this week to see where everybody stacked up, and the Eagles' defense is actually not quite as good as you might think that it is. It's a little bit below average to NFL standards in most defensive categories. So I'm actually going to say the San Francisco 49ers get out of the NFC. And you know what? I'm going to say either Baltimore or Kansas City. For this purposes, I'm going to say Baltimore. No, I'm going to go Kansas City. I'll go San Francisco, Kansas City, and then I'll go Patrick Mahomes. I can't bet against Mahomes, man. I just can't. I know that they don't have a true number one receiver outside of Travis Kelce right now, but that defense is humming. The Mahomes-Kelce duo is unstoppable. So if I have to pick one team right now to win the whole thing, I got to go with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs yet again. Now, predict it for me down there in the comment section. Give us your Super Bowl predictions, 2 teams that are going to make it, and then the 1 team that's going to win it all. Put your score predictions, if you want, down there in the comments. Let me know who you think is going to win the World Championship this season. That'll be it for this week's mailbag, guys. Really do appreciate all of your support. Make sure you click that subscribe button right now for more NFL news and rumors analysis for free here on YouTube.